Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we are on Canis River with Mr. Modulo here in red, playing as Cortex today, and their opponent being C3B0 playing as Armada in blue. Now, we've seen this map quite a few times on the channel now. It is seeming to be one of the most favorite maps that 1v1 players tend to enjoy. As we zoom on out here, we can see that this can be played in the 1v1 manner that we're seeing, or played in a team based with start positions there, and obviously where Modulo is selected. Different spawn positions here will give you different benefits. So obviously Modulo's position here is a lot more defendable, with only two methods to attack from, being this little bit here and the ramp, so it's going to be easier for Modulo to defend. However, his path to the Geo, which is over here, is a long way for him to go, and also it limits his ability to expand quickly because he has to basically do a long path to get to any of these, whereas Mr. C3BO over here is able to expand two engineers out, and they will both get to these triple mech points at the exact same time. However, it does mean that his position here is a lot more vulnerable, with attacks being able to come from pretty much any direction here and will attack his base and do a lot of damage to it. So C3PO going for definitely more of an aggressive positioning here. Saying that though, Modulo has gone vehicles here and is pushing out a bunch of scouts, whereas C3BO only seems to have this single tick out at this early stage. Trying to get a bit of harass, but that one tick is not going to do much. Surprisingly though, Modulo is using two construction bots to push a single direction here, rather than spreading out and going from multiple different directions, and trying to use the ticks and pawns to defend against this early harass, and just producing pawns as well. Now scouts positioned close enough to metal extractors will actually not be able to be hit by the laser tower, but rather than self-destruct the metal extractor there, he decided to try and eat the the scout, but that didn't actually win, and Modulo able to get more damage inflicted here with these few scouts. Not really too much to worry about, but it did close the solar generator for a short period of time, forcing the energy production here of C3 to slow down considerably. And now with these two expanding, they will be able to build up quicker, and you can see him prepping a bunch of walls apparently. Why he's prepping up a bunch of walls, we don't know, but to slow down any harass, I presume. Meanwhile, over on Modulo's side, he is only really expanding with his own commander here. He's got one construction vehicle down here, but that's already queued up to build lots of wins, and you can see these wins have been spaced enough that one bombing run will not take out all the wins. There's enough space there that units are going to be able to pass through, and the chain reaction won't get them all destroyed in one go. This area is quite a good area for wind production, because you know your base and units coming out your base are going to be defending this spot. So unless there's all-terrain units to get up over here, your wind's pretty safe. Although these units that are hidden behind here of C3 have been very well hidden at this point. Don't know whether that was intentional, but there's not that many there. Don't think Modulo spotted them either yet. Using the tick here to try and draw off some of those forces. Oh, and actually managed to climb that hill, that tick. Unable to really accomplish much though. However, on the opposite side of the map here, C3 potentially losing a construction bot to a scout. Micro being intended here, or used by C3 rather. What was funny is when we were watching, I can't remember who it was now, but there was someone else that was playing, and all they were doing when they had situations like that, they would just spam out big buildings around the constructor to tank a few shots, and it was relatively effective, but obviously takes a lot of micro. Well, this one pawn does manage to win out that small fight, but it's not going to be anything significant as all of these metal points are defended. Not even able to get one of the two metal extractors there, both with only 35 health left. And again, these three pawns try and make their way in. Wind is at a low point right now, so that LLT is not able to fire its full volley, but pawn again getting killed before any damage was really done. And so far, Modulo in a pretty strong position. Both players struggling with energy right now due to the wind's nature. But if we just zoom out and look at the map here, look how much room Modulo has taken so far of his corner. Whereas C3 has taken not even that, because he doesn't have that corner. So it's almost the same, but realistically not, because he's missed a whole two metal extractors at the back here. Now their expansions are going out at the same time. We can see here the left high ground and the right high ground is being capped at around the same amount of time. The difference being, though, that Modulo's commander moving down on the right at the bottom where the Geo is, and C3 has two constructors here, but this group of incisors will do significant damage to this expansion. And the entire expansion gets destroyed here. Will they get the two construction bots as well? It does look likely, yes. And the incisors will probably not actually they will escape. Damn. So not only did he only lose a few incisors there, when we look at the wrecks, maybe 3 or 4, he caused significant damage to C3. And this is a bit of the problem when it comes to early game. Yeah, I don't quite know what's going on here. What's with the holes and the walls, or they're just basic walls. Like, what's the point? Large units can now move through and block it. If you in the comments know why the heck C3's done this, feel free to enlighten me, because I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are. Now this scout looks like it's going to get a free radar and metal extractor here. And the incisors not even getting killed now. Finally getting killed, but taking a hell of a lot of pawns with them for their trouble. And with the radar destroyed, these incisors able to push in quite a lot. And now with shurikens out as well, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for C3 to actually be able to do much here. There are AA units in the mix here, but this incisor grouping is going to cause significant damage to C3. To the point where he's actually bringing his commander back here in a rush to try and bring this back under control. There is plenty of construction turrets there to assist in building more pawns, but losing a lot of res bots as well. And not only that, but probably a construction vehicle that was being used for expansion down here as well. That self-destruct was not going to do anything. And this is a problem with the position here that C3 decided for his base. With the ability to expand quickly also comes the ability to get harassed a lot. And C3 desperately struggling here to maintain this position. And on this right-hand side, after losing that construction bot, now losing yet another one. This scout doing work as it's taken out one constructor and is about to take out a second construction bot. C3 way too late to notice that. Oh my goodness, somehow it manages to survive. Very lucky. Now the thing is, select this. Now, Modulo did some damage, right? But realistically, when it comes to base damage, he took out like 3 windmill. All of this reclaim is left on C3's side, and he is bots, which means he's got res bots. If he decides to just resurrect everything here, that is going to prove more difficult for Modulo to deal with, because he's having to kill his own army in essence. But we can see C3 here choosing not to reclaim everything as well, going for the resurrect. And although the numbers are very heavily on Modulo's side right now, especially when you look at the map, Modulo pretty much with half of the map in his control right now. C3 struggling with only his own quarter, if that. He's having to try and resbot all of the expansion that he did have. But army numbers are definitely starting to go back towards C3's favor. Transition though with Modulo over to full on tanks, brutes, pounders, and a couple of lashes here to tickle at the enemy and deal with a bit of air if there happens to be any. The C3 has a massive open flank here. He's got a lot of stuff on this north side, but down on the south side for him, this area here is completely open. And there's not much really you can do about it. Being armed, he has no choice of armed metal extractors. EMP metal extractors may give him a bit of time to react, and he kind of might need that right now. He is going air and vehicle, apparently. That's a lot of metal to invest in 2 different factories and then not really use them. And this construction bot, again, getting caught out and getting killed pretty quickly. See, this wall fortification did nothing to stop these tanks getting by. Not really able to inflict any damage though, but that still has stopped this triple metal point here from being capped. And now C3 getting out some of his own aircraft, mainly fighters just for defense. But he is struggling with energy right now, and we can see that he started building some wins up on this high ground. But building air is very energy intensive, and that's kind of what he's struggling with. And he's also got planned a tier 2 vehicle lab. Clearly this is his plan to try and bring back the fight here. He's in a very much losing position. So by transitioning to Tech 2 now, he's hoping he can call some of that back. And you see he actually reclaimed the air lab after he got a few fighters out here. Bit of a ballsy push here, C3. Not really accomplishing too much there as he charges into the defenses as well. Resbots will not be able to do their work. But surprisingly, actually, Modulo letting him have that reclaim field, and instead moving round to the northern flank. Resbot's not really microed very well there. Luckily not losing any. But the Tech 2 factory is now up and running. A lot of units on the south side not really doing anything right now. Huge amount of shurikens have also been built. And the expansion that was only just resurrected on this north side being completely destroyed. And it is not going good for Modulo. Well, it is going good for Modulo, sorry. Not going good for C3B0. Not really able to contest his own area. He does have Tech 2 up, which if he is able to get that to pay off, then it will help. But can he hold out long enough to get a sizable chunk of Tech 2 up? Look how many units he's losing just trying to get up front to these, you know, lashers and brutes. First bit of build power, though, lost by Modulo there as he loses 2 construction vehicles. The EMP shurikens do come in, and that will stop any more damage being inflicted. And the 2 brutes actually managed to survive there. Meanwhile, while that is being microed up top by Modulo, these tanks have just walked right past C3's army that's stationed on the south side, and he has not noticed them whatsoever. If we select C3BO's camera, we can actually see he doesn't even have radar coverage there. That's a huge gap in his radar coverage, and he has still not even noticed that these units are making their way in the back. Now, all of a sudden, he finally notices them. And if this wall was just complete, these tanks wouldn't have been able to go through. But no, he left gaps in them. Don't know how much damage those will be able to do, but with the shurikens out and Tech 2 starting to appear on the front line, Modulo knows he's probably going to have to start transitioning to Tech 2 himself. You can see these guys have kind of just been abandoned. But so far, most of this game, Modulo has been the aggressor here, leaving a lot of reclaim on his opponent's side. C3 losing all of these wins and another construction bot because he's not microing his units. And again on this north side, losing a lot to that flame turret because he was then microing elsewhere. Meanwhile, he's got 4 more tanks coming in from this right side kind of high ground that was supposed to be his control. This shouldn't be enough to kill a commander here if microed correctly. Will Modulo micro it at all? No, he doesn't. And with only 1 pounder left, that ain't gonna do much more. But if you look at this army here, pretty much, well, actually all of it, with the exception of that crossbow and the bull, are resurrected units. So don't diss resurrection bots. They are powerful. And when we look at army value, it is now in favor of C3, purely due to that resurrection. Constantly fighting on your opponent's terms, giving him all of the reclaim and not actually contesting it at all. He's been doing a lot of harass Modulo, but he hasn't really, you know, he has accomplished a lot. I mean, I guess you can say, you know, he's taken out this entire right flank. The top flank's gone. But when it comes to, like, core damage, he's not killed any of the base build power, you know. So maybe C3 may be able to pull this back. Tech 2 has already happened as well now from Modulo. And as we press control, or was it shift space, we can see what each player has queued up. It seems that the Tech 2 transition was then straight up eaten by Modulo, as he's just pushing out a sheer huge quantity of Tech 1 tanks right now. Whereas his opponent is only pushing out bulls. More construction vehicles getting killed though. This is a nice little dragon spawner up on this hill. Now these Jaguars have AA on them, which means if Modulo did have any shurikens left, then that would be not very useful for him anymore. I would say that this small reclaim field here looks like that's probably been secured. And Modulo doing what we say you should always do. If you're getting attacked somewhere, try and just split off a few units and attack your opponent somewhere else. Cause him to redirect forces rather than you having to react to your opponent. And although he only cost him like what, 4 or 5 tanks, managed to take out 2 metal points. Meanwhile, these 2 bulls are doing the exact same thing to Modulo here. Pushing in, getting a little bit of damage done. Not really anything to write home about, but enough to cause some annoyance. And these bulls are able to outrange the dragons more. And another hole punched through Modulo's defenses here as C3B0 pushes in a bunch of bulls onto this southern shore here, aiming to regroup these bulls, but at the same time Modulo's sending waves of Tech 1 across the entire north side, which has been opened up several times now. Question is, can he get any damage into the base around the back, or are the bulls going to cut him off? He needs to be able to get some damage. Otherwise, he's just giving his opponent more and more units. Meanwhile, these bulls are managing to get a Tech 2 constructor of Modulo, as well as Modulo's commander being in a very precarious situation here. Modulo right next to the Geo, getting a amazing D-guns, killing all but one of the bulls. Great job, Modulo, waiting for the most opportune time to make that shot. And that Janus just rolls up, going like, hey, and then rolls away. No, the D-guns missed. And now, all is quiet for a moment. Both players now on Tech 2. Plenty of Tech 2 on each team. Well, I say that. You know, Modulo is on Tech 2 when it comes to economy, but he's not building Tech 2 units. So what will win? Swarm or Brawn? And as the army value number ticks more and more up on C3B0's side, Modulo's swarm is just not able to get just enough yet. But here come the shurikens. Some fighters in that mix. Oh, a actual single fighter, that's it. Some Jaguars in the mix though will do some AA damage. Here comes a second fighter and a third one just behind it to help deal with the shurikens. They are limiting the effectiveness of this push here by C3. At the same time, C3 is getting attacked on the southern side again. It does seem like a sizable chunk of bulls there were EMP'd for quite a long time and are now getting surrounded. This is a very badly positioned Tech 2 construction vehicle, walking right through a war zone. Oh, he's going to attempt to get a Tech 2 point defense. That will make a big change if that does work. Not enough forces for Modulo though, able to really hold this position, and that Tech 2 constructor looks like he's going to get down as well. Now the question is, who can get this reclaim field? That is important. 10k metal in this reclaim field. And it's only going up as both players just send waves of forces at each other, trying to get control over it. But it does look more and more like this is advantage C3. He already has a resbot there, starting to eat up the metal. Whereas Modulo has nothing nearby now. Janice's also work quite well here because they're going to be able to shoot over all the wrecks. A lot of these tanks are going to get stuck and start shooting the wrecks instead of actually doing anything. Oh, surprisingly though, Modulo is able to temporarily push off from the reclaim field. And now Modulo able to get a bot lab up and some res bots coming out as well. Surprisingly as well, this small task force along here is still slowly making damage, killing some Tech 2 economy for its worth. And now these Jaguars are good, but mostly used to deal with swarm units, grunts, pawns in the early stages of Tech 2. If he keeps only producing these rather than producing just massive bulls, he may get pushed back. He needs to be able to contest the reclaim field, which is just purely being resurrected here by Modulo. Modulo not microing these resbots though, as they run after this single brute to make sure, oh, you're not finished healing, mate. Let me fix you up. And good choice here to resurrect the stuff that's directly here on the front line instead. Although these units are literally breathing for being killed. There, look. Both of them just getting absolutely destroyed. Bulls do have the better range here. And Modulo could probably do with focusing on resurrecting the bulls rather than just resurrecting everything. Because he needs that range. Not only that, there's a very slight hill. It's not really very noticeable here, but there is a slight hill. These resbots getting a bit too close to the front line here. And at the same time, this Starlight coming out is going to make very short work of any Tech 1. Oh, but from downtown comes the Banisher. Tracking missiles, high damage. Now they do have less range than the Starlight, but the Starlight is very susceptible to these missiles if they get vision, and both being quite squishy. Banisher is actually a little bit tankier than the Starlight. Actually, opposite way around apparently. Banisher weaker than the Starlight. I thought the Starlight had like no health, but apparently not. Banishers will get killed pretty quickly if there's nothing else there to help them. Also, they can't fire like directly backwards. You can see there their turning circle is kind of like their aiming circle directly back is like a no-go. And desperately trying to just eat as much of this reclaim field as he can now. These Starlights, by the way, are explosive, so when they die, they do cause quite a substantial explosion around them. But now losing the reclaim field, Modulo put in a bit of a tough spot here. He is causing some more economy damage. These free stouts just going around, causing some problems. C3 hasn't even sent anything to deal with that yet. Why the tremor? I have no idea. Probably causing more friendly fire damage, if anything. Oh. Oh, C3 was able to pay attention there. If Modulo was able to pay attention, that could have caused a lot of damage in that base. But unfortunately for Modulo, he was not paying attention. The shurikens come out again. A lot of these units here don't have any form of air defense. And there's definitely no fighters either. And there's the explosion from a Starlight. See how much damage that does in such a tiny area. Now the issue with Banishers is that if you send something forward and these are all like in a line, for example, one unit can end up eating all of their shots. And so what's quite a common tactic is literally what we're just about to see here. Tick spam. Get a bunch of tick spam that will eat all the shots of the Banishers. You can do the same thing versus the Starlights here. Just a lot of quick, cheap units that you don't mind losing, that you just spam into the front line so that the Starlights waste their shots. Or Banishers in this way lose their shots. This Starlight costs 1,000 energy to shoot. It's a lot of energy to waste on, like, you know, a single grunt if all of them shoot a single grunt. This fight is not a good match here at all for Modulo, as he attempts to run in here and is just getting absolutely annihilated. He has not really any supporting units left. We've only 2 Tigers there. Now, speaking of like tick spam, a good way to counter that is, you know, you could build Junos. If you plopped a single shot of a Juno down, like here, for example, every tick that ended that would instantly die. Obviously, then the difference is you can just transition over to like pawns or grunts, which cost more, but they wouldn't get killed by the Juno. Starlight's doing a tremendous job here, and C3 actually turning the tide here. Surprisingly as well, Modulo getting hammered by a rattlesnake. You do not often see those. And also a pulsar being built on this south side here that's actually going to be within range of both of these. They used to be called Doomsday machines, called bulwarks now. And all that build power is going to get, well, all of this is going to get killed just by the pop-up rather than the Starlight. And the initiative is definitely shifted over to C3's favor. All of that metal that was gifted throughout the game now coming back to haunt Modulo. Some air transports going on the bottom. What's the plan with these? There is nothing in them. Don't know what his play was there, but there's literally nothing in them. Oh, there was a single... No, that's a lash of wreckage. There's nothing in there. You got something in there? Nope. Don't know. Meanwhile, Modulo doesn't look like he knows what to do, to be honest with you. There's enough Starlights here now that anything that gets within range is just absolutely destroyed within seconds. And now with Gremlin stealth tanks coming up, they're going to be able to see anything that gets close. Now, a Dragonflying Fortress has been built. There is a lot of air defense though. And also, if a mistake is made by C3 and he groups these guys up, then one explosion could end up causing a massive chain not enough to kill them all. If this one died here, that would probably end up being enough, but just not enough. Only 5% left on that one there as well. And it seems Modulo now going for an all or nothing. He needs these dragons to cause significant damage to his opponent. Otherwise, it's game over. There's enough flak here that they will take down dragons pretty quickly. This is surely tanking C3's economy here. He does have 4 fusions at this point. You can just see those tigers get instantly killed as soon as it comes around the corner. Question is, what will the dragons be able to do? Dragons have made it to the base. Focusing now on that flak that's being built. And one already down. He kind of needed to find the commander. Instead, kind of just getting some economy damage. To be fair, if he does manage to take out enough of the energy production, the Starlights will not be able to fire. However, 2 was just not enough to cut it. And we've got C3's economy selected here, and we can see that he's still got plenty of energy. Looks like how quick that dragon goes down to all of that flak. These dragons are very expensive. And I don't think there's any coming back from this for Modulo. His big play was unfortunately not enough for him to win the day. Oh, his energy is running really low though. Modulo though now calling the GG. He'd actually end up with an anti-nuke there at the end as well. Well, C3 did really well there to not give up. He was very heavily pressured in the early and even in the mid game. But all of that reclaim that Modulo just kept left on his side ended up just gave C3 the ability to come back. And he was able to just resurrect everything, and it turned the tide of the battle. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time.